This is Daily Dose of Darryl, Viewer's Digest from the Peebles Motivation Bureau, Season 2, Episode 29, April 17th through 23rd, 2023, entitled, Let's Make a Date. This is a 19-minute profound address given on June 7th, 2015. As I share my story, I ask you to reflect on yours. This is a reminder that cemeteries are much more about life than death. Look for the new meaning that you'll receive during this episode. Let's make a date.
Our theme for today is Let's Make a Date. I know some of you guys, y'all have used that before. Let's make a date. And our scripture for today is Psalm 90, verse 12. And it goes simply like this. Teach us to number our days. And so we're going to be dealing with some numbers today and numbering. Maybe not like the normal sermon that comes out of that verse, but I think it will tie together when we finish. Now, y'all remember Rodney Dangerfield, I'm sure. Some of you may not, but most of us do. Google him if you're young. He said, a girl phoned me the other day and said, come on over, there's nobody home. I went over, there was nobody home. Some of you guys had that experiences too, I can tell. A bachelor asked a computer dating agency to find him the perfect mate. I want a companion who is small, cute, and she must love water sports and enjoy group activities. The computer came back with, marry a penguin. A girl asked her lover, if we get engaged, will you give me a ring? He said, of course. What's your phone number? They go on and on. I won't. But when we hear the words, let's make a date, immediately we start thinking about maybe a romantic engagement. Or perhaps if you're more analytical and business-minded, you're thinking about a business engagement so you can make the next big deal. Or more specifically, a number on the calendar. The date, June 7th. Today is a day about dates. Let's mention a few. I'm going to mention them, see what you think of. December 7th. Most likely you thought of Pearl Harbor, right? June 6th, yesterday. And you thought of Normandy, D-Day. September the 11th. September 11th? Twin Towers. Yes. Okay, here comes a good one. June 7th. That's today. Anything come to mind? Well, sometimes it's on that date, sometimes it's not. It was on June 5th in 1988, which was 2 days before my dad died. He died on June 7th, today, 1988. So you see the date, June 7th, takes on particular meaning for me. The call came, I had just returned from a late night church softball game. The nurse on the phone was beating around the bush, saying something about they are working with him. I said, let me speak to the doctor. As he came to the phone, I wrote a note on the little pad I had with the words, Dad died, because I knew he had in my heart. The doctor confirmed it, my dad had died. Some dates, like June 6th, September 11th, December 7th, rock the world. Other dates will rock your world. My funeral remarks before my dad died and all of my many funerals were the very best I could ever do. However, my funeral remarks after I preached my dad's funeral took on an entirely new meaning. That June 7th event rocked my world. The finality of it really sunk in to me. The life that my dad had lived gave meaning to June 7th. It was not my dad's death that made the date so significant, but it was all that came before that date in his life that made that date significant to me. It was his life that gave meaning to his death. June 7th became a day to remember him every year. June 7th became a day to reflect. June 7th was an exclamation point at the end of his life, saying, "It's finished, he did it. Let's celebrate it." Since 1763, people have gathered on these grounds to worship, fellowship, communicate, study, read, eat, and bury their dead. Through the years, the structure has changed from that first rustic log building with the sun-baked brick floor. Generations of people have risen to the occasion and become stewards here. Each generation has come to understand what this stewardship means. There are people here in these grounds who took a stand for freedom as far back as the Revolutionary War, before we were the United States. Others were caught in the throes of the Civil War, not knowing which way to go. Others fought for freedom in World War I and World War II and remain here now. The call came and people responded during the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, and the Iraq War. None of those things were pleasant. When the need to have a place to hold court for Western Orange County arose, the people here welcomed the sessions to these grounds right in the middle of the cemetery. To ensure an educated population, one of the first schools in this area had its beginnings in this hallowed place. To further spread the education of this area, one of North Carolina's first public libraries was established here. Later, when a new four-year college was in demand, people gathered here to make the watershed decision to launch this school. The vote was for this new school to be located between Providence Church and the cemetery grounds, all the way down to Colonel Parker's house. The church's pastor, the Reverend Dr. William S. Long, led the founding process that ultimately landed at Mill Point in the groves of oak trees. The Hebrew word for oak, Elon, was chosen as the name. He became the first president. To further the spread of the Christian gospel, the people on these grounds took stewardship of the gospel and chose to reach out and help establish other congregations like Children's Chapel and First Christian and Long's Chapel and many others. They worked together. The need to divide Orange County eventually surfaced, and again it was right here where people came to organize the new Alamance County, decide on the county seat town of Graham, and vote to fund public education in the new county. From the early days, people here realized the value of life. They wanted to remember those who had lived life and were laid to rest here. At one point, with the shifting population and the growing Graham, the cemetery had become somewhat neglected. People had moved out every which way. In 1902, the Providence Memorial Association was formed by people from here and many who had moved to other areas. All had ties to the cemetery. A photo was taken in October of 1922 to show the progress of care and reveal how the cemetery was beginning to surround the building. Later, in 1927, the building was moved 225 feet to where it stands right now and to where you sit, so the cemetery could be expanded. This photo shows a renewed vision and stewardship. It's a classic photo of people thinking ahead, taking care of those that went before, and looking to those that might come after. Today, June 7th, 2015, we are this generation's stewards. It is in our hands. We are the ones given the mission to care for these grounds and the mission here that moves us forward. We are the ones who need to learn and reaffirm the reason that we gather, whether it's each Sunday or annually for this event. For many, a cemetery is considered a place of death. I have heard all the jokes and the spooky stories and things like that. And we grow up, people leading us to believe this is eerie and spooky, but it's not. For many, they are reminded of their loss in a place like a graveyard. And for many, the dates etched in stone, those numbers are simply numbers to them. But today, we must realize that those numbers are the exclamation points for unique individual lives. This cemetery is a place of life that's to be memorialized and remembered. It is the life of a young man who died in a battle for freedom. It is the life of a small child who brought unbelievable joy to parents, even if briefly for an hour or a day or a few years. It is the life that spanned decades with countless experiences of joys and sorrows. So our mission is twofold. First, we are called to care for these grounds and these memorials. Second, we are called to live a life that will give meaning to our date, our exclamation point when it comes. First, to care for these grounds and memorials will require people who care about these wonderful lives celebrated on these grounds. People who are willing to give generously to meet the physical needs. People who realize these grounds and stones are more than a place of death. People who are excited about the wonderful lives who have laid our foundations as we come along now. Our gathering on June 7th this year is an event that takes place once each year. The cemetery, however, has needs every day throughout the year. Our interest and our commitments must be more than an annual event. Providence Memorial Cemetery is a gathering of valuable lives who now need our help. If they are to be remembered with dignity, if their date is to reflect that great life it represents, if the amazing, huge history that has been lived here is to be treated with dignity and rightly, we must rise to the occasion, for this is our time. Second, to live a life that will give meaning to our date when it comes will require a willingness to be filled with God's Spirit, a commitment to follow God's Word, an investment of our time and talents into God's greater mission, a decision to focus on our unique purpose and mission which is within God's plan, a recognition of those who made our life possible that have gone on, and even making sure their lives will be remembered properly. So you can see that how we tend to those who have lived their lives actually is a part of our calling that gives meaning to our own lives. On June 7th, that's my dad's exclamation point. June 7th has meaning to me because of him. To honor him and his life, I will now read a piece I wrote about him before his exclamation point was determined. And as I read about my relationship with my dad, then you plug into that and play back your stories of the people that you have known and loved and lived with that have gone on. It's entitled Down in the Shop. His back being so big and sun-baked brown stands out vividly in my mind. He was so strong, hard as a rock. Yet the white stripes under his overall straps revealed a trace of softness that was mirrored in his personality, always trying to appear strong and rough, but never being able to fully cover up the soft heart and tender nature. He worked hard. When he would leave so early and arrive home so late, how could a young son realize it was done for him? How could a boy so young, feeling the sorrow of missing Dad at a ball game, know the sorrow Dad felt, having to miss the game in order to provide? He worked hard. Silhouetted by the setting sun as he stood atop the recently completed roof of a church, or laced with cobwebs as he slid beneath a house to fix a pipe, he worked hard. He always helped. There was nothing he couldn't build. There was no one who could build it better or faster, or so it seemed to me. A lot of people must have agreed, for they all had their unique problems that needed the skills of R.C. That's what everyone called him, but he was just Daddy to me. Even after a hard day's work, he always helped. Moving a family to a new home with his truck, or fixing the screen door that bothered only the widow who battled the flies. He always helped. What a great team. It was a great honor to be able to work with him and to learn from him, like when he let me hold the boards for him to run the saw blade precisely down the straight line. Or like when he let me cut the board and placed his big hand around mine and said, as he guided the saw, "Don't fight it. Let the teeth glide back and forth across the wood." With the passing of time, the skills that were his gradually became mine. We knew each other's next move. What a team. We worked in harmony to turn out a set of cabinets, to clean up after a job well done. All the tools were in just the right place, and at a moment's notice, the entire shop could again be filled with the sounds of ripping and hammering. What a team. We both saw what could be turned out as a team. We both seemed caught in the tension of wanting the team to continue, yet we both seemed to know that it could not. I could tell that he understood when I followed my own calling. Words weren't necessary. He adjusted well. He always did. That was most obvious when he lost 2 fingers from his right hand. With determination, he learned again to saw and hammer with skill. He took what life had to offer and adjusted to it. He adjusted well. Now when I visit him, we sometimes go back down to the shop. We manage to find some little project that compels our attention, only now he hobbles painfully across the gravel with his back bent and white. With swollen hands and feet, he moves through the cluttered shop, turning on switches once a part of the daily ritual. Now he holds the board. For me, as I cut the line, his eyes no longer can grasp. It feels so good for the team to be together again, but it also hurts. My skills were learned from him. I want to scream, let me return them to him, along with my strong back. Let me again hold the board for him. But we both know that is impossible. But even now he is adjusting well, learning to rest and live with it. Maybe there will still be other chances for me to go down in the shop with him. And maybe I can learn more than his skills, even this lesson about life. The shop is physically gone now. My dad is physically gone now. His exclamation point lives on each June 7th as a reminder of his wonderful life, a life I still experience and celebrate each day. Yesterday was the Belmont Stakes. The winner was a Triple Crown winner, and the owner of that horse and the little jockey that was there thrilled the nation. We finally saw history being made. And as they talked to that trainer, they said, "I'm sure that you've talked about your parents." He said, "I've talked with them, and they're here today. And they know we finally won it." My dad is here today. He's watching from a better view. Your relatives have gone on, and they have a much better place. And they are counting on us to be the generation that not only sustains the status quo, but moves on to the next level, caring for these grounds and furthering the mission that God has given all of us. So, now you are beginning to understand that when I say, let's make a date, you're living it each day. And one day when your date comes, it will be made not by the day you die. That will be the exclamation point. It will be made by all those days that you lived up to that point. I'm not talking about a romantic or business engagement. I am talking about how we give meaning to the brief days that we have here while we're alive. I am talking about how well we listen to and follow God. I am talking about how we live out each day. I'm talking about how well we care for those who have made our lives possible, even past their exclamation point. Answer the call today to live your life with great meaning. Answer the call today to hear and to follow God's leading in your own life. Answer the call today to live each day to the fullest, alive, abundant in God's Spirit. And answer the call today to give generously earnestly to care for those who have gone before you. I want to thank each of you for your continued commitment to caring for these grounds and the mission that we have here. Our date is coming. Now is the time to make it mean something. Let's make a date that's worth remembering, starting now.
This is Darryl R. Peebles, the man behind the microphone, bringing you something positive each day from the Peebles Motivation Bureau, both positive, personal, and professional. Remember, there are 3 divisions: digital, real life, and print. But in the digital, we have not only the YouTube channel, but the website, Zoom events, and much more. In the real life, we do pulpit supply, funerals, weddings, magic shows, keynote speakers, and more. And in the print division, not only books, but magazine articles, newspapers, and custom artwork. Locally ordered books from me can get signatures and special discount. This one is already out and about, helping others. Churches and pastors have special discounts. I appreciate you, your ideas and support. Keep them coming. These are other areas that I might be able to help you, and these are my contact points. This is Daily Dose of Darryl, responding to the free and gracious gift of God. I am using humor, the art of illusion, modern technology, and decades of serving God and communities to work every day to uncover the beauty in all people and experiences coming my way, endeavoring to educate, entertain, and inspire. Each dose on this channel can help move us toward a better, healthier, and more informed mind, body, and spirit. I'm excited to be a small part of the expanding of our capacity to learn, love, and forgive, and together leave this world a better place for all. God bless you.